See? And the train was going so fast, when it hit around the curve, it went off track.
Well,
180 people were killed. Well, 80 were killed, over 120 injured. And they interviewed the engineer, and he had all kind of reasons. He's an experienced engineer. See, that's his weekly schedule, so he knew the route. And he also knew he's supposed to slow down before going to this curve. All week long, he was driving this route. And because of his negligence, he cost the lives of 8 people, over 100 injured. If I give a title for this lesson tonight, it would be Stay on Track. You got to stay on track. Now, this train would have slowed down, it would have stayed on track. Unfortunately, it's going too fast. All of us in this life are on this road from one destination to the other. It may be a car, it may be a train or a trolley train. A destination. So we can identify with that. But sometimes we take life carelessly. We drive faster than we ought to. We live recklessly and not obey signs. We are comfortable. And if we're not careful, we will end up in a place where we don't want to be. We as Christians ought to have principles in our lives so we can stay on track. You see, when you want to get close to God, you may not get as close to God as you think you ought to be when you get yourself in trouble. So you must put disciplines in your lives daily, so when your circumstances become as they are, when you cry out for God, He will hear you. It's important that we live by principles in our lives, not some days, every day. Sometimes you say, I don't feel like praying, I don't feel like getting up. Oh, God, understand, I'm tired. I'm going to lay in my bed and the bed and pray on my back. God understands. What you need to understand, this is a holy God. And you, believer, is set apart to bring Him praise and glory. So it's important for us to stay on track. We must put disciplines in our lives because we can't get close to God as quick as we want to be when circumstances happen in our lives. Now, in this first few verses, verses 1 through 3, I would say a believer who sought God, a believer on your job, a believer should be identified on your job, same job. The believer should be the same in church, out of church. He should also exhibit these same qualities on his job and off his job. So this is what your life ought to look like as a believer on your job. The first 3 verses says, it seemed good to us to appoint 120 satraps over the kingdom, and that would be in charge of the whole kingdom, and over them 3 commissioners, of whom Daniel was one of them. And these satraps would be accountable to them, and the king might be or have not suffered any loss. Verse 3. Then this Daniel began distinguishing himself among the commissioners and satraps because he possessed an extraordinary spirit, and the king planned to appoint him over the entire kingdom. How a believer ought to behave on the job. Now, all this is saying is that on your job, if you're the owner of your job, you have section leaders, right? And over them, you would put managers and commissioners, right? And you put them in charge to help you run your business. Smart sense, right? And so if you would go and say you need good, reliable people working with you. You may also, as a boss, have in mind you need someone, a right-hand man, you want to promote. So you will look every day and see how your leaders carry themselves. Well, in this year, we see Daniel, how he carried himself. Right? When he possessed an extraordinary spirit, well, on your job as a believer, you may not box like everybody else. You say, well, you're extraordinary. You may not drink a beer or two, man. What's wrong with you? But you that must have the extraordinary spirit. You don't dress like the rest of us do because you have an extraordinary spirit. You show up to work on time. See, because what you're doing, you're representing Christ on your job. Amen. And so when you represent Christ on your job, you are a believer, so you are distinguishing yourself from everybody else. This is what you do. Amen. You ain't trying to suck up a brown note. No, this is what you do. Give all praises to God and give thanks to God, so you show up to work on time. This is what you do. So the extraordinary spirit is to them, it's like, man, who you think you are, but they extraordinary. This is what you do every day. Right? See, they don't do that, so they look at you, well, who you think he is? But you just do what you just do every day because you have the Spirit of God in you. Yeah. That's extraordinary to them because they don't understand why you can't drink a beer or two or watch a rated R movie with them or why you can't hang out with us. So you have an extraordinary spirit. Yeah. Do you want to have the same thing too? Yeah. An extraordinary spirit. You just do. This is who you are. Now, the boss here take note of Daniel, and he had plans for Daniel. Yes. See, I want to be for you. See, you just, because when you do what you do, people notice what you're doing. Yeah. Yes. Right? You may be willing to stay after work on time. You're just doing what you asked to do. As a believer in Christ, this is who you are because you're representing Christ on your job. Because if you're like everybody else, well, they wouldn't even know that you're a Christian. Yeah. So this is what you do. This is how you have to behave. Yeah. An extraordinary spirit. Amen. Now, beginning in verse 4, it says, next section. Then the commissioners and satraps began trying to find ground for accusation against them in regard to government affairs. But they could find no ground of accusation or evidence or corruption, insomuch as he was faithful and had no negligence or corruption and was not to be found in him. Then these men said, we will not find any ground or accusation against this Daniel unless we find it against him with regard to the law of his God. Yeah. Then these commissioners and satraps came together, an agreement to the king, and spoke to the king as follows: King Darius, live forever. All the commissioners and all the kingdom and the precepts and satraps, the high officials and the governors have consulted together that the king should establish a statute and enforce an injunction that everyone who makes a petition to any god or man beside you, O king, for 30 days shall be cast into the lion's den. Now, O king, establish the injunction and sign the document so that it may not be changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which may not be revoked. Yes. Therefore, King Darius signed the document, that is the injunction, the plot, believer. Yes. Check out these guys now. You just doing what you regularly do, right? And they see you're doing such a good job, well, they try to signify something to bring you down to their level. Because they know their boss is taking note of you, and you're standing out, but they don't like that. Yes. Player haters, right? They hating on you. Right? So the commissioners and satraps began trying to find ground of accusation against him. Whatever it is, they try to, whatever their folk talk about you, trying to bring it up. Anything they can find. But when you do what you do it in excellence, well, they can't find nothing, right? So they got to make up something, right? They got to find something because they know that the only thing this guy does is he prays 3 times a day. He loves God, so maybe we got to try to trip him up there because there ain't no other area. He showed up to work on time. He ain't cussing. He doing extra work. Ain't nothing in his job that we could put a finger on. So this praying dude, I got to do something about that. So let's come together. So these guys kind of come together. And they said, let's set them up. You see, they setting them up. Because it says here in verse 4, they can find nothing, no negligence, no corruption could be found in him, right? Then they said, find something, accusation against this Daniel, against his God. So they got together in agreement and they went to the king. They kind of puff him up, right? And they tell the king, oh, king, see, it sounded good to him. Because if they could, for 3 days, if they could make everyone bow to him, well, that sounds kind of good. I see nothing wrong with that, right? He ain't see nothing wrong. So they come together, right? And they say come together to establish a law of injunction. Now the king ain't know what's going on, right? And the king for 30 days. And now the king is established, so it can't be changed. So they come together, this posse, this group, and say, man, let's do this. So then they puff up the king, but the king loved that kind of stuff, so he didn't know what's going on, right? It's a plot, it's a setup.
Yes. Amen.
Don't you ever believe, as a believer, folk gonna like you coming to work on time? Don't you ever believe that everyone is cheering you on? Light and darkness don't go together. See, you're making them look bad. When you start doing the things what you're supposed to do, you're making them look bad. Why you gotta come to work on time all the time? Why you gotta always pick up stuff all the time? Well, why? They try to find something, right? Again, so you're just doing what you do. They want you them, so they can't find nothing. So they go to the boss, and this crew come together, and they see something where they can put against you to show you up. Boss didn't see. That's the plot, the setup. Then, verse 10. Watch how he rolls. It says, now when Daniel knew that the document was signed, so Daniel knew about it, right? He knew about it. And he entered his house, so he knew that. So, as usual, he ain't letting nothing bother them. So I know when they signed, look, I'm going to stay on track here. I'm going to do what I've always been doing. Right?
Yeah.
But if you ain't been doing all you've always been doing, well, you're going to move. But if you're doing always you've been doing, it's easier to stay on track because you've been seeing the benefits of God.
Yes.
As you walk during the day, you see all these benefits, so you're going to stay on track.
Yes.
And you stay on track. So as here we pick up here in verse 10, says, now Daniel knew that the document was signed and go in his chambers in his room towards Jerusalem, and he continued kneeling down and praying 3 times a day. He prayed and giving thanks to God. And he had been doing previously. Right? So we know that he's saying, making thanks to God. Thank you, Father, for everything you do for me. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Father, for making me, allow me to do what I do. He's praising God.
Yes.
He's on his knees. He's praying. Then these men came by agreement and found Daniel petitioning and making supplication. Praying. Now, they must have gone to Daniel's room and listened on him. Listening, right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. He in his room, they must have gone out of their way to find out that Daniel's still praying the way he's been praying. He ain't say Daniel pray on the job where they were or in their sight. He just doing his business. So they went out of their way to show up Daniel. They heard him praying. Then they approached the king. Before the king, he spoke about their injunction. Now they trying to, they know Daniel messed up.
Yes.
So pick it up in middle part of verse 12. It says, did you not sign an injunction that any man who makes a petition to any god or man beside you, O king, for 30 days is to be cast in the lion's den? The king replied, the statement is true. Yeah, I signed it. Yeah, no problem. Of the law of the Medes and Persians, which cannot be changed or revoked. They just let that in there, make sure that he has that. Then they answered and spoke before the king. Daniel, who is one of the exiles. They're talking bad about him now. We bring down from, the undivided kingdom, coming over. One of them. Pays no attention to you, O king, or the injunctions which you sign, and keeps making petition against 3 times a day. Okay, then as soon as the king heard the statement, he was deeply distressed. You see, he had his eye on Daniel, and Daniel was doing a great job. And now he didn't understand what's going on here now. What these men are doing. He set his mind on delivering Daniel. And even until sunset, he kept exerting himself to rescue Daniel. He tried this, that didn't work. Looking in the bylaws, that didn't work. Looking in manuals, that didn't work. He could find nothing in his employment manual, nothing to say how Daniel can be released from this. Nothing at all. So sunset, he went. Then these men, I guess they noticed what he's trying to do, came by agreement to the king and said to the king, recognize, O king, that it is a law for the Medes and Persians that no injunction or statute which the king established may be changed. They reminded them, you can't change your mind. I see what you're doing. You can't change your mind.
Well,
they're sticking it to you. You can't change this law for Daniel. You can't change it even for yourself. It cannot be changed. Revoked. Verse 16. Then the king gave orders to bring in Daniel. He couldn't do nothing. Couldn't do nothing about this. And he cast him in the lion's den. Now, let me pause here. As a believer, folk will try to get you fired.
oh yeah.
Don't you believe? I mean, if they can get you out of the way, it makes a way for them. So they're going to try to get you fired. In this case, or some folk trying to take you out or take your lights out. You got to be careful some folk, what they try to do to you. So Daniel here, king spoke to Daniel, so he was grieved. And he ordered Daniel to be brought in, cast in the lion's den. And the king spoke and said, Daniel, your God whom you constantly serve will himself deliver you. Now he knew about Daniel's God.
Yes.
And so, yes, he wants to encourage him. A stone was brought in and laid over the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring, and with the rings of the nobles, so that nothing would be changed. So the ring, usually sealed, they put over there, so he can't be broken. Once he makes the seal with his ring and his nobles, you can't move the rock. You cannot be moved. And then the king went off, place, and spend the night fasting. No entertainment was brought in before him. He couldn't sleep. Imagine tossing and turning, trying to sleep. On your job, if a boss, I remember when I was working at American National, I was one of their marketing representatives. And I did my calls and did my stuff. I was doing very good. I made a company a whole bunch of money. A whole bunch of money. Boy, that was nice to me. I made a whole bunch of money. So as a recruiter, I would hire agents. I would hire one person who would have 10,000 agents under him. So when I hired him, I got 10,000 other folk. So the boss liked that, and he treated me well. But my other boss didn't like what I was doing. And so he would always try to cut on and make me trying to look bad. And I recognized what he was doing. So I wrote a memo, sent it to my boss, and I copied him. I told him, stuff like, look, man, I'm trying to do this thing, and look, I did my job. And before I walked out the door, my bigger boss came in. He said, Allan, look, Ain't nobody gonna stop you from being promoted around here. You've been always doing a good job. And so he called the guy in, that the boss who was trying to put me down. And he counseled him, and he ended up being in trouble. We got to remember to always do diligence to who we serve, our God. And everybody ain't gonna like you. But if you just focus on doing what you're supposed to do, God's gonna take care of the rest. He's gonna take care of the rest. I ain't trying to get nothing out of that other than trying to do my part. That's all I was trying to do. So we see here the same thing here in this text. That the king went off and he couldn't sleep. My boss couldn't allow me to walk out the door. He went and stopped me from leaving and set the record straight. He couldn't sleep because this boss here knows that he is a good job. He does a good job. You must understand, when to stay on track, you got to trust God. Amen. It's easy to said than done. But if you begin to trust God in the little things you do, when it comes to the bigger things, it will be no problem. Because you've been trusting Him all along the way. But you can't wait till something big happens in your life, then call on God. Well. God may not hear you. Or you may not feel your nearness to God. So it's important for us as we go through this life every day is to put in those spiritual disciplines every day and stay close to God. Don't wait till something big happens. This king here, like Daniel, and his hand was tied. Picking up verse 19. The king arose early in the morning, break of day, and ran to the lion's den.
Well,
when he had come there to the den, he cried out in a troubled voice. The king spoke to Daniel. Daniel! Daniel! Servant of the living God, has your God whom you serve constantly saved you? Or been able to deliver you from the lion's den? He was pleased to hear Daniel say. Then Daniel spoke to the king. O king, live forever. My God sent his angel to shut the mouths of lions. And they had not harmed me in so much as I was found innocent before him and also towards you, O king. I have committed no crime.
Yes.
We like to hear praise report for other people when they come through their trials.
Yes.
But we need to have those same praise reports as well.
Yes. Amen.
Now it ain't good sitting when you when things get hard. It ain't easy.
No.
Yes.
And it's easy to get off track or to bail out when things do get hard.
Yes.
But I must reiterate again is that this walk has rewards.
Yes.
If you're faithful to this God, He will be faithful even when you're faithless. But see, you got to know that it ain't no just cliche. You got to walk this walk for yourself. So don't just live with somebody else's testimony. You got to know for yourself that this God actually do love you. You have to know that. Not just listen to me or anybody else. You have to know this for yourself. You have to walk the walk. See, Daniel trusted in this God every day, all day long. So when the king rose early in the morning, and when he heard Daniel's voice, he rejoiced. If you are going to be or faced to be fired from your job, and you got responsibilities, right? You got kids, right? You got a mortgage, right? You got a car note, right? Yeah, you got bills to pay, right? You got your phone bill, right? Light bill. Now, can you respond trusting in God, knowing that all this is on the line? You can't get there overnight. You can get off track. You can't get there overnight because you know what's at stake here. You know if you lose your job, your kids gonna be hungry. You can't pay your bill. This is real now. You know that. Now, you're gonna get off track or compromise with this God, but you'll understand because you haven't trusted in him all along the way.
Amen.
Then if somebody have a testimony, say, look, I was about to lose my job. I know I couldn't feed my kids on this job. I know I couldn't pay my, I know this, but look how God delivered me of saving me from being fired.
Yes.
You would cheer more. But it needs to be you. You need to walk the walk.
Amen.
Not just talk. You need to be Daniel. I know it's easier said than done, but you got to do that. Every day, you put it in spiritual disciplines. Know for yourself that this God will never ever leave you, nor ever ever forsake you. That ain't a cliche. You ought to know for yourself this God will never ever leave you, nor forsake you. Why? Because you trust him in the little things. So now when it comes to bigger things, you can still trust him more because you can look back and say, God did this, and he did this, and he did that, but you can't do all, you can't get there overnight, y'all. You will compromise. You won't get off track. You want to try to save your face, try to save your job, and now you can tell me or anybody else anything, but you know how you ought to or should have responded in that situation.
Yes, yes.
So you can explain it away. Don't do that. Trust him along the way. So when big things happen, the God who deliver you from all of that can deliver you in this.
Amen.
This is about faith. Your faith has to grow every day. So when you come over something small and you pray about that and God delivered you, well, that increase your faith because he delivered you from that. And as you go, your faith increase. Now, when your faith increase, the bigger the circumstances going to come in your life, the bigger the storms come in your life. Now you can look back and say, but I know I'm about to lose my job. I know I can't pay my bill. I know, but God did this and that. I know I can trust him now. See, that's how you get there. That's how you get where Daniel is. You can't get there overnight. You must look back on your track record and your relationship with Jesus Christ and know that what he has done for you, because he is faithful, even when you messed up, he still blessed you. You know you can still do it now.
Yes.
You got to be able to do that. But you cannot get there overnight. You got to stay on track. Don't lie to yourself. You need to know that this God actually loves you. You need to know this God actually can deliver you in your circumstances. Not what the preachers say. No, but you got to know that for yourself.
Amen.
I know it sounds good, but you got to know that, y'all. You got to know that. So when the king ran towards the den and found Daniel, well, now it's great. He can celebrate. He can celebrate with this God. So now, we drop down. So the king, right, verse 23 says, the king was very pleased and gave orders for them to be taken out. Dropping down 24 says, the king then gave orders and brought those men in that maliciously accused Daniel and cast them and their children, their wives, into the lion's den. God got your back. The first thing we want to do when folk talk about us or do something, we want to get them back. The worst thing you could ever do, if anyone ever do you wrong, I don't care what it is, the worst thing you can do is get out of fellowship with God to deal with them.